morning, everyone. Good Sunday morning to you. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in Miami, and I am hoping that wherever you might be, it is also a beautiful day where you are. We are very happy. Today is the second week since we've returned from the Christmas and New Year's break. And we have a very cool topic that is going to be presented by our dearest Abigail today. While you are arriving and saying good morning, we want to say we see you. Good morning, Juan. And we are very thrilled to be with you today. We are going to be reading a message 10, number 10, from the book Happy Life. The book Happy Life is a book psychographed by Joanna de Angelis through the blessed hands of Divaldo Franco, the medium. And the message today states, organize your schedule so that you can spend your time appropriately. Every task must be seen to at the right time. Disorganization in carrying it out not only harms its order, but compromises its quality. Perform your duties calmly and uninterruptedly, one after the other. It's a very short message, but very, very significant for starting out 2021. I'm not going to comment a lot on it because I'm sure that Abigail is going to be doing that. But mostly to summarize what we've just read, it's basically about how we are applying our time, remembering that time is an investment. It is something that we are to utilize wisely during the present reincarnation. It has been given to us by our Father, by the Creator, and there's so much to be done. But I'm going to stop here right now so that we can do our opening prayer. And we are going to invite you to close your eyes if you want to, keep them open, but definitely open your hearts and let us elevate our thoughts to our Master Jesus, that friend, the psychotherapist, the doctor per excellence that we have in our lives. And saying, thank you so much, dear Jesus, for allowing us to be connected this morning, not only through the technology that we are using at this time, but also connected through the ties of our hearts and our souls. We thank you for sending your missionaries, the benevolent spirits who oversee the work that is conducted by the conscious living. And we are also thankful for the benefactors, our guides, our guardian angels, who take the time to be with us, guiding, instructing, alerting, and embracing us at all times. We are grateful for yet another year, 2021, and we only request that you equip us with the courage needed to face every obstacle, for we remember in looking back that we are able to conquer, to overcome any and all difficulties, but we are also able to see the beautiful blessings that lay ahead of us for 2021, this moment of growth, of spiritual ascension. We ask for your blessings for our dear Abigail, so that her words also may reach our soul and feed us with the hope and the encouragement needed for this very transformative moment of our existence. Thank you so much, and so be it. Well, good morning once again for you who is just joining us. We are going to invite our friend Abigail to the screen, and we are going to pass on the words to her, for we know it's going to be a very special talk.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Good morning, dear friends. Happy New Year. It's such a wonderful for us to be connecting here again. We tell everyone that is watching us that we wish a happy new year, and a year that we can transform our life, using this year 2021 to be a transformative moment in our life. So we're very happy to be here and to bring this wonderful message that we have here Let me see here, just a second. Just a little technical problem, just a second. Thank you. So we bring a good morning one. We bring this wonderful message from Paul that wrote a letter to the Corinthians. And he said, "Let me tell you a secret. Not all of us will sleep, but all of us will be transformed." That's the core message in this letter. And he said, we won't always sleep. What he wants to tell us that when we pass from this lifetime, not all of us are going to walk invisible, semi-unconscious, and not all of us are going to be in the purgatory spheres or going to be sitting in heaven or sleeping forever waiting for the final days. He didn't want to say that because he was embracing many people because he want to make sure that we understand the purpose of this lifetime is for us to change. And he said, I don't promise you endless suffering or endless rest. No, it promised transformation. No one leaves the call of the eternal life except to change. Death of the body is spiritual growth. The grave is one sphere and the cradle in another. And since the function of life is to renew to perfection, let us transform. That's the only certainty that is passing us. So that inspired us for us to be here today and understand that if our path is to grow and to be perfect eventually, it's going to take many incarnations. But our purpose is to grow, to transform, to renew ourselves. And more than ever, the invitation that we feel that is in the consciousness is here today, starting today. We take this opportunity to really look closely at what this message brings to us. Many of us, we don't need to say the difficulties we encountered in 2020. Many things we knew dissolved. Many things that we are used to transformed. And many difficulties we encountered because we just didn't know how to act in this new environment that is show up for us in 2020. Many of us had to face this state of vulnerability. And the situations that we encounter ask us to have more tolerance, to have open mind. We had to learn to have a continued effort to adapt, to understand, to transform. So the invitation was right there. And through the whole pandemic that we experienced in these months in 2020, we enter 2021 with more information. We have been able to learn to grasp some of the difficulties for sure. We learned in this platform how blessing we have the Zoom that allowed us to study a lot more, to connect with people from all over the world. We see in our classes people from many different states, even different countries. We're getting together. That's one of the blessings of the pandemic. But for sure, also, we learn to see many things that show up in our life that we are not paying attention before. Many of us was working very hard and we're not paying as much attention of the people next to us. So many times we are in such a 24/7 kind of mode that we neglected many little things that we feel in this pandemic becoming more obvious to us. That we didn't spend all that much time with our elders. We didn't spend as much time with our children because we're busy. Many of us were not connected as close with our partners. So many things becoming more evident in this pandemic. And the invitation in 2001 is for us to look a little closer and all these suffering and difficulties that show up. And what I mean by that? Many of us becoming aware a little more clear our low tendencies, our character defects, our vices, our passions. Many of us becoming aware how hard it is to be 24/7 with our partner. Many of us becoming aware how challenging it is to be with our children all the time. Many of us discover how challenging it is to be with us 24/7 because many of the distractions were gone and we had the opportunity to see that. So many of us are having opportunity to handle that. And many of us succeed, but many of us are suffering because we don't know how to handle all that well. I believe that many people are suffering right now because they are getting annoyed a little more with their partners. They are getting irritated a little more with their children. And they are getting frustrated, annoyed because they can't stand anymore to be by themselves in their own company. So all this is becoming more evident for us. And the invitation for this transformation in 2001 is to embrace all this learning, all this spiritual opportunity the Father is giving us for us to look at the situation a little closer and a little better. And many of us are feeling the consequence of what they are seeing, but they still don't know how to handle. It's too many things to handle, too many levels, the stress, and many things we are seeing. But we are saying, how that is possible? I want to go back where I was. I want to go back in my life. I hear that in many conversations. I just want to just do it. I want to go back to my life. I want to go back out there. How many of us wish that? Because this is known to us. We know how to live there. But the invitation for 2021 in this transformation is to unfold the new step, the new way of being. It is the great opportunity. So a lot of people, a lot of us are suffering because we're still trying to put the triangle in the square. Guess what? It won't fit. We needed to reborn. We needed to deconstruct what we knew and build what we know. The new, the transformation, the invitation of this renovation. And one of the things we are realizing when we don't succeed and put in practice everything we know is this lack of alignment between what we know intellectually and in our actions and reactions. Because we hear a lot of the lessons we study, we have been studying, and that's the good news. We have been preparing ourselves intellectually for this moment, for this transformation. We are ready. We are prepared. We just need to learn it to put in practice. And that takes a little. Let's take a little. And we are learning that it's still off track. What do we know in our heart? And there is a lack of alignment. Many times we want to place in order the lessons we have been learning from the gospel with Jesus, what is in our prayer. But in the moment of stress and difficulties, that we don't do it. We still go back in the old habits and the old behaviors. Now, demeanor have not changed yet. So it has been a challenge for many of us, and our goal is to look all the lessons that's going to help us to create the alignment between what we have here in the intellectual and in our heart. And this alignment is proportional our alignment with our Father. And that's the point we are going to talk about it. We are seeing that in the end of the day, our alignment with our Father is not all that great yet. Because when we surrender to God's will and trusting, we can let go many of the difficulties we experience now. And that is the main lesson that needs to happen for this transformation. Okay? And in order for us to make this connection between our thoughts here, in our consciousness and with our heart, in our connection with your God, for us to diminish the gap that exists between that, we need to be willing to have a look in this veil that separates us from God. And that's the main basic thing we are going to talk about. What is this veil that we need to lift so we can make our connection with our Father, so we can walk through the lessons with His hand guiding us, knowing that our Father hands is in our life at all time. His love is there. And we know when we hear Jesus saying, me and my Father is one. And that's our goal, to aim that connection with our Father. And we know He has Jesus and angels, the good spirits, to help us in this journey. So in order to get that connection back, not back, closer, let's put it this way, we go back to the basic of the gospel. That's where we want to focus today. The basic in the focus. In the in the gospel, we learn that only when we accept God's will, we're gonna be closer to Him as one, and we are gonna start moving more forwards towards our Father. We still walk like this, and it's because we have not yet grasped the lessons that Jesus taught us in our actions. We know in our heart, in our intellect, but not in our actions yet. So that's what we are going to look. When we go back to basic of the gospel, we learn the importance to see the egoism, selfishness, and the pride in our life. And that is the veil that is keeping us to connect with God. That's what's keeping us to connect with ourselves and to connect with our brothers and sisters, right? And the true meaning, what we want to say a little bit is the true meaning, what means selfishness and what means pride and what means humility. Because many of us says, I'm not pride. I try my best to be humble. I'm humble. I don't want to be more than my brothers and sisters. We say that because we understand intellectually that, but in our actions does not reflect that. And many times we hear that person is so humble, coming from a humbling beginning. And many of us understand that humbleness is about their economical situation or educational, but it has to do with the pride. So it's a different way to look what fully humble person means, because the humbleness is the opposite of pride. And that's the things we are going to look at. And the selfishness, many times we say, I'm not selfish. I share the things I plan or goodwill or to the need. I help the home at Christmas time. I do all my charities. No, I'm not selfish. But there are a lot layers more. There are a lot layers more. And that's what we are going to talk about it. The bottom line, when we have selfishness and pride at the front, that's very hard because that is the veil that separates us from love. So our inability to love is proportional of this veil. They cannot be together. Our inability resides in the fact that the selfish pride takes over ahead in our actions. And that separates us from our brothers and sisters because it's all about me. At the end of the day, right within me, we are too yet self-centered, have a lot of attention in ourselves. So consequently, for us to learn to love us a little more, to love us, brothers and sisters, and especially make this more deep connection with our Father, to the point that we trust that He love is going to help us in all shape and form, and is going to orchestrate in His mercifulness all the steps we need. We are going to do our part, but our Father take care of us, providing us all the lessons and the experience we need to transform. So that's the business to be aware and address our spiritual needs. That's when everything changes. So we are going to go to the gospel. Blessed in the pure in the spirit. In this beatitude, we read, humility is a virtue much neglected virtue among you. The great example that you have been given, you followed very little. This sentiment puts all men and women on the same level. It tells them they are brothers and sisters and they must mutually help one another and leads them in good. Without humility, you adorn yourself with virtues we do not possess, as if you are wearing clothes to hide the deformities of your body. So just this part of this beatitude has a lot of information for us, the importance for us to look at humility. We have a lot of examples and it's so hard to follow, and that's okay. There is nothing wrong. We are humans and we are learning. We are too much still fragile. So we are going to start to see more and more when we get more resilient to the fact that and when we really work towards humility, that's when finally we are going to get more able, we'll be more able to look at each other as brothers and sisters, because we don't know how to do all that well yet. It is very subtle sometimes it's very obvious, but we see in a different level. There's a lot of and we judge. Every time we comment, every time we have that look, we are not seeing each other equal. And for more intellectually that we want to love one another, our pride, our level of selfishness and arrogance separate us from love one another. So understanding this last paragraph, without humility, we adorn ourselves with virtues we do not possess, as if we are wearing clothes to hide the deformities of our body. So because we don't know how to address yet our selfishness and pride, we adorn ourselves with virtues we do not possess. So we put like it's kind of a mask that hides what we feel we need to hide because we want to be loved. We want to be accepted. We want to feel respected. So we are under the illusion that hiding our pride and arrogance and selfishness that all of us have. We are going to be more liked it. So we put a mask and pretend having a virtues that we don't have. And many times under the mask of humbleness, we hide a lot of arrogance. Under the hide of, no, I'm going to be a good girl, but I'm hiding the desire that I have to be in the front row, my vanity. So there is a lot in this that when we take these beatitudes at heart, we started having more courage to have a deeper look inside of us, because we can only transform when we see it. We can only transform when we are willing to change. So this is very important. There is no way we can fully address if we don't lift the veil that is hiding us to learn. Because another day I was thinking and laughing with myself. We've been listening to these Beatitudes, this lesson for over 2,000 years. We're not all that dumb. What is keeping us? So I keep on asking myself, what's keeping me to really love my brothers and sisters? Because I get annoyed. I get irritated. I judge. I don't want to, but I do. When I pick myself, when I notice that I'm doing, I change. No, I'm choosing different, but it's still on myself. The first reaction is right there. So it's a work. Maybe we're gonna live this life without being able to eliminate all our pride and selfishness, but we are good in our way when we start noticing. And in this beatitude, we read, we learn. Pride is a terrible adversary of humility. Apply some humility. Set your eyes up onto the reality of things of this world, upon what leads to the greatness in one hand and disgrace on another. All men are equal on the divine scale of justice. Only virtues mark the distinction in the eyes of God. In this beatitude, we learn there is a terrible adversary of humility. Pride, it is a really hard adversary that we need to combat. And when we put in perspective that what leads to greatness in one hand and disgrace in another, so we have this intellectual understanding. We don't want to be better than others. We don't want to put others down. We don't want to judge anymore because that doesn't bring a gracious in our life. That separates us from our brothers and sisters. We know that the charity, love, is what's going to help us in our greatness, not in just in our life now, but in our future life. That's the point of our transformation, is to learn to love more and to be more charitable, forget about ourselves, and be at service of God, be an instrument. How can I support my brothers and sisters? That's the main lesson for our growth. I love this part, and I read and I read. Wake up, my brothers and sisters, my friends. May the voice of the spirits echo in your hearts. Let each of you down little by little the altars you have erected to pride. In words, speak to Christians, and you possess the kingdoms of the truth. I read this over and over and over. One of the things I love to do that serves me in my progress is when I fail, when I see that I'm not willing, I go there and I read it again. Wake up, Bika. Wake up, Biguinha. This part of me that is rebellion. Wake up. Listen to the voices of the good spirits in your heart. And let's work to break this altar you put for pride. Because all those altars we did in a moment that we didn't know any better. We did in a moment that we need to make a survival. It was a surviving mode, was a surviving mechanism for us to be sane. And when a moment that our ego got sick, that's creating the problem and starting live in function of that. So this part, when we read over and again, wake up, it shake ourselves to participate in this journey. Let's do it. Wake up. Let's do it. And in the gospel, in this love your neighbor as yourself, is a chapter that we study over and over. And every time we study, we need to read a little more, understand a little more, to be able to practice a little more. And in this chapter, selfishness, that plague on the humanity, must disappear from the earth, whose moral progress it hinders. Selfishness is the target which all true believers must aim their weapons, their strength and their courage. And I say courage because more courage is needed to overcome oneself than to overcome other people. And selfishness is the child of pride, is where we need to focus our weapons, because selfishness make our heart hard. It creates a gray layer of veil of separation from love. In our mind, we want to love a little more, but there is a layer of selfishness still in our consciousness that is keeping us to love one another a little more. And that's why the gospel said we need a lot of courage to aim. We need all the strength. That's why our connection with our good spirits, with our guardian angel in our prayers, asking courage every single day to aim the weapon, to slice that, so we can get a little of this layer that is keeping our heart to vibrate in the law of love. And they said we needed more courage because to overcome oneself, It's a lot more courage because we have the courage sometimes to overcome others, but a lot of courage to really go down because our pride our ego is defending because we very easily get insulted. It is insulting to us to have the courage to see the amount of selfishness that lies within. But when we overcome that layer of pride with the sword of courage, we are able to look at. And when we look at, we are bigger, we are stronger, and more courageous to continue our journey of transformation. So the invitation is let all of you, therefore, make every effort to fight selfishness within you, for that monster devours our mind, that child of pride, and is the source of miseries in this world, and consequently the greater obstacles to human happiness. When I read that, it really touched my heart because we need to make every effort we can, because if we are in this moment experiencing separation, troubles in the relationship, if we are feeling lonely, if we are feeling that something went wrong, that you feel that someone did something to you or you did something to you, all the difficulties, the misery in the words lie in this, in layers of selfishness. And we suffer the consequences of it. All those afflictions are consequences of these actions made out of selfishness, acts made out of pride. And that is definitely devouring our minds, because in our mind, we don't want to be like this. But when we are immersed in that layer of selfishness, we start confabulating. If we are in that angles of pride, we confabulate many revenge, punishments, guilt coming from that, a lot of suffering. And for us to transform, we needed to get the sword of the courage to aim that monster that is keeping us from love, keeping us from accepting our Father's love. In these questions in the Spirit book, could humans always overcome their evil tendencies through their own efforts? Kardec asked that question. And the Spirit said yes, and sometimes with a very little effort. What they like is willpower. How few of you make such an effort, however? I love these questions, and I keep referring to this because it reminds us how important is our willpower. And here the Spirit said, yes, we can overcome all those tendencies, but with very little effort, because we give a little bit effort, God potentializes all our efforts and orchestrate the help. It is amazing. We forget to ask help. We forget to put that effort ahead. And many times we are sitting suffering, but no willpower, not even to ask God for the help, not asking God even to help us to have the willingness to use our willpower to change. We forget because we are immersed in the pride and selfishness that creates a fog in our consciousness that is keeping us from this connection. So it's very important to remember. And I put you this other question because I think it's very interesting. Aren't these passions, they are so alive and irresistible that the will is powerless to overcome them? And we can use here the passions is a whole section in the Spirit's book that is just wonderful. But I love this answer that I think can apply to all difficulties that we feel that we are powerless to overcome. And they answer, there are many who say, I want to, but their will is only on their lips. They want, but they are very satisfied at not being able to. If we use any other passion, any other vices, any other imperfection, we can use in this education here that the Spirit says to us. One thing sometimes we say in our lips, but there is not really in our heart a desire to really want to change. And it's very interesting because many times we say we want to change, but we are not yet willing to let it go what's having us in that situation in the first place. There is a saying that I read another day. It was so interesting. And it says like this: before healing, you ask someone, they are willing to let it go what's keeping them sick in the first place. So this willingness, it's very important. That's what I mean by we need to be willing to see the veil that is keeping us from truly connect with our Father and really embrace this immense source of love that He provides for us, because the selfishness and the pride does not allow us to fully immerse in this amazing flow of abundant love that He gives to us. And that's why we go so starving in our spiritual needs, because we are blocking the source that feeds our soul. So the willingness to see and to change, to transform, needs to be in place. I think it's very interesting. For instance, in the program 12 Steps AA, the first step, they recognize they have a problem with drinking. And then they are committed to ask a, a power, a God, or whatever they name it, they consider as a God, to help them and to surrender to God's will. Only when they make that commitment, make that commitment with the program that is going to effectively help them. And that's very important, because they are willing to eliminate the tendencies that brought them in that situation. And this program has helping so many people out there. And the coincidence here is Spiritism has a wonderful program to offer us. And it's the same principle. We need to commit. We need to commit that we have pride and selfishness. And we need to commit it to God and to surrender to God and ask His help us to change that. And that commitment with our Father will be able to transform everything we are capable of in this new year, 2021. And Spiritism offered this tool that we say so many times. St. Augustine offered a question that guides us. So that same program, that when we realize, yes, I have this problem. Yes, my life becomes very unbalanced with this problem. And yes, I have a Father that can help us. We just need to commit to actions that's going to help us to eliminate what brought us here in the first place. And the same way, if we are not willing to commit, the transformation does not come, because there is no amount of lecture we listen. There's no amount of courses that we take. That's the first step. And that's wonderful. Brought us here prepared for this next step. What really makes the difference is when we put that in practice. And when we are willing to look at, when we fail to do it. And that is little by little having more willingness to know ourselves a little more and see what lies within us, the selfishness, why we are acting in such a self-centered way. Where is this spiritual needs that I need to attend so I can let it go? Because if I'm acting a way, like the Spirit says here, if I'm acting a way in a self-centered selfishness or pride, I'm having some gains, because that was the mechanism defense that I put in place to protect me. So I need to put something else to look at and be willing to change that. And this willingness is going to allow us to heal. And this willingness is going to help us to make this year a transformative moment in our life. Not is just in this incarnation. This is the moment. This is the moment we've been waiting for, the true transformation of our soul, when we are going to have all the opportunities to lift the veil that we are in. In the questions 9 and 13, Kardec asked, of all vices, which may we regard as the root? We have already told you many times selfishness, all evils derives from it. Study all the vices, and you see that selfishness is the bottom of them all. As much as you may struggle against them, you will never uproot them as long as you have not destroyed their cause. And that question helps us to really understand that's the root. Because many times we've been working and eliminating the consequences, but we are not going to get there the root of the thing. And that's make a little difference between what we understand and really being more aware that we need to put this in practice. Not eliminate the consequences, but eliminate the root, the cause that is creating that. Because sometimes we have the feeling that we are drying ice. We work in a transformation, and we're still there because we are just cleaning up the consequence, but we're not going through the house, the cause. It's like, for instance, the Florida orange. It's not delicious, Florida oranges. Don't you love it? We can study about Florida oranges. We can study all about the juices, the best Florida oranges. We can have a master degree, a doctor degree on Florida, how it's grown, how it's picking the best time, how to conserve, to preserve, to have the freshest. But only, just only when we bite and feel the citruses in our mouth and have the juice, we can say with property, yes, I know what it tastes like. We need to bite. We need to experience. Just when we take it truly to the core, we can overcome. And that is a very important point for us. And in the question 917, what is the means for destroying selfishness? Selfishness found up the importance of the personality. When well understood, I repeat, Spiritism enables you to see things from such an evolved point of view that the sentiment of the personality somehow disappears before the doctrine and immensity. About destroying this self-importance and showing its real nature, Spiritism necessarily combats selfishness. It's such a wonderful that we have the study of this doctrine that educate us and encourage us and help us to be more resilient so we can start letting go the importance of the personality. This is a very hard lesson for many, for many. When you look today out there, we're becoming aware how the importance of a personality is in the air. So it's our job to do within us. And Spiritism show us one day, one incarnation, we are born rich. One incarnation, we are born poor. One incarnation, we have power. Power in many levels. In another incarnation, we don't. So we have so much understanding the importance of the reincarnation that in the end of the day, every experience in the incarnation is for us to learn to cultivate our virtues and eliminate and combat our low tendencies. So through that perspective, what we used to see put so much importance is starting to dissolve. So many of us are so attached to some personalities, needed to feel better than. We needed to have the best job. I'm going to aim for the best job, the best education, the best house, the best personality. too much importance. I need to be seen, how many likes I have, why my picture does not have all the likes I want, how many young people are not tolerating to hear no. So the Spiritism show you that when we understanding the spiritual life, when we understanding that we are here for that transformation, we are more prepared to let it go and detach from the material power, because the real power we have within is our humbleness, is our connection with our Father, is our ability to pause and breathe when we feel anyone is attacking us, or when we feel insulted by our own little tendencies. But when we have the power to breathe in and remember Jesus' lesson and emanate something different than that animosity that we are receiving, that's true power. That's what the power is all about. That's what makes us together. That's what makes us close to our Father. And this is something that is practice. One day we get it a little bit, another day we don't get it, but that's okay. We're gonna watch why we didn't get it and try better. The most important is for us every single day to put our head in the pillow and say, today I did the best I can. It's not about perfection, progress, not perfection. So selfishness is the source of all vices, as charity is the source of all virtues. Destroying the former and developing the latter should be aim of all people's effort if they wish to ensure their happiness in this world as well as in the future. And as important as for us to look and eliminate all the selfishness and the vices, the pride in our life, is also important to develop and cultivate our virtues. And how can we do that? So we brought up the questions that we are always talking about, right? As St. Augustine said, examine your conscience and recall your actions. That is the way we are going to lift the veil for our progress and transformation, when we have the courage to recall our actions. And of course, we need to pray for God and our guide angels to enlighten them. It's very important that we ask our Father to put light in our thoughts, to put His light in our actions so we can see them, have the courage to really see, so we can look at and discern what needs to be done. And ask ourselves, what good and wrong have I done in this day? So if that's go together, the more we are aligned with our Father and committed to have that extra will to reflect, we are going to have the possibility to see a little more. Because when we are just acting out in our pride, I'm so scared and my selfishness, self-centered, I don't want anybody to see my shadows, and I hide. In that moment, I'm not going to see it. It requires a lot of courage, because the most wonderful thing when we pray for God is to illuminate our thoughts in our hearts. We feel the love of God, and we feel empowered by His love to realize I'm loved just the way I am right now. Doesn't matter the amount of selfishness or pride. God loves us just the way we are. So it's okay to be selfish, to be looking at. It is okay to our arrogance. It is okay because we know our Father loves us. And He's going to empower us, giving us courage to aim our efforts to change and transform that in our life. I love that. I just love that. For that to happen, we need to ask ourselves, did my selfishness and pride manifest today? And if it did, God, show me where my selfishness and pride manifest today. And God is going to show us. And the good news, we are empowered by the courage and love He gave us. So we're going to address, because there is nothing wrong with us. We are human. We are all more fragile than evil. We just want to see them and have the courage to see them to transform. And when we do that, we acquire great strength for self improvement just because it's not hidden anymore. And we are speaking the truth. Another day, a friend say, "Oh, you speak, and you speak with arrogance." And I say, "Yes, I do." And I've been fighting that for many, many years. And maybe one day I'll be able to be more, speak more from my heart. And I'll never forget that. Because if I was not work on my pride and arrogance, I'll feel very much insulted. So every time we feel insulted with a comment someone did it to us, check, where is my selfishness here? Where is my pride manifesting here? In this way, it's calmer because when someone, and we say more than enemies, not so friendly, because sometimes the friends are very generous with us. But when any animosity comes to us, when they say something to us that we don't like it, if we are working on our inner transformation, it's not going to annoy all that much. It's not going to insult all that much. Oh, okay, I know that, and I'm working on it. And if you're not working on it, it is a hint that comes to you for you to look at. Either way, rather than get insulted, you have more strength to work on your self-improvement. Isn't it great? I love that. So let those who are truly willing to improve themselves examine their own consciousness in order to uproot from it their evil tendencies as they uproot weeds from the garden. Let them balance out their moral workday like a business person's do with their profits and losses. When I read that, I thought, okay, I'm going to check out my spiritual account. Is it negative or is balanced? Is positive? Am I doing withdrawal a lot or am I depositing much? So it's wonderful to do this inventory so we get to know ourselves a little better. So many of the wrong we commit pass by us unnoticed. In fact, following the counsel of St. Augustine, we would interrogate our conscience more frequently. We would see how often we have failed without noticing it, by not having scrutinized the nature and motive of our deeds. And when we do this balance, this spiritual balance, this moral, honest and moral inventory, we're becoming aware, oh, how many things I've done without noticing. Sometimes breaks my heart, but I'm very grateful and seeing them because there's more ability that I have more chance not to do the same. I'm going to learn. So many times our pride is so intense, our selfishness is so big because it's a disease in our heart. We do things and we are unaware. That's why this inventory helps us to become more aware, and be more aware we have more chance to transform. They are personal assertions, and from the sum of the answers, we can compute the sum of the good and the evil that exists in us. So becoming more real, what exactly I am. It's very important because sometimes we don't know where we stand. Another day we are having a conversation. Are we doing everything we need in this incarnation? When I discarnate, how it's gonna be? Because it passed by through our mind, it passed by my mind. I don't know about you, but it passed through my mind. I have a few friends that lost their lives. Their loved ones lost their lives. And I meditate over the Christmas. What if I discarnate right now? I'm prepared. How is my spiritual account? Is more negative or green, or how is it? Do I put more deposits, or I have been just withdrawing in God's mercifulness? I don't know. So when we do that, we're becoming aware exactly where we are. And of course, we are going to see our low tendencies and we're going to make a list and I need to do some amends there. But we are also going to know that we also have good things planted. Our heart is a little bit more fertile. The soil is fertile a little more because we've been investing, we've been studying, and spiritism, like the gospel said, when well understood and comprehend, give us the more we are more prepared. And we heard in many through many vehicles. If we are experienced here now, it's a merit. We may go this far and we are more prepared than ever. So there are a lot of goodness within us. So it's also important we bring our light to see our shadows. That's very important in our transformation. So let's in 2021 see also all our lights. And to close, I have two messages. One is from this wonderful book. I'm not sure if it's already in English. Andrea will tell us. But this passage I read and I read. It took me a while to really grasp this, but it's beautiful. Praying and watching, we always have in mind the greatness of our insignificance and the insignificance of our greatness. We are great by the divine spark that shines deep within us. We are nothing before the one who placed us in the tennis spike. And this is so beautiful because that's exactly what we are talking about when we make it this more connection. If we need to make a real connection with our Father, we're becoming aware of this greatness. We are child of God. But when we really honor that we are child of God, we surrender because we are so insignificant by His immense omnipotence. And it's so beautiful, so inspiring for us in this year of 2021 for us to understand that our importance to make 2021 count. And we have a few minutes. I would like, if I can, to read a poem that in my heart is a prayer, become a prayer. I've been reading a lot about this prayer. And it's from the book Anthology of Spirituality from Maria Dolores and psychographed by Chico Xavier. So if you can only embrace this poem, preparing for the prayer that is coming for closing, if you feel like you close your eyes and allow these words enter in your spirit to empower us, give us courage to go and do the work that is going to help us to make 2021 count. It goes like this. Thank you, Lord, when you say no to the undue pleas I make through prayer. Many of those gifts I ask you for, esteem, concession, possession, pleasure. In my case, perhaps they were thorns on the path you gave me to walk. Other times, I beg you favors between lamentation, crying, noise, mere caprice, that simple rack that escape my pride. They are privileges that I desire, claiming yes to you, which, if they flourish in my existence, would be disadvantaged against me. In many circumstances, I pray affection, without finding company anywhere, when you gave me solitude as a guide that inspired me to seek you. Teach me that I am in the right place, that you have not called me offhand, and that I now enjoy the best time to improve myself in everything I need. Do not listen to me crazy demands. Make me realize that I will reach beyond what's necessary if I do my duty. I thank you, my God, when you say no to me with your love. And whenever I pray to you, what I should not, do not answer me, Lord. So thank you, my friends, and I wish everybody a wonderful 2021. Let's all make this year count in our evolution, one step ahead in our transformation, in our way to the kingdom of heaven. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Abigail, for this beautiful, beautiful moment and many significant and powerful messages that you brought, especially in the content of the Spirit's book and all of the other beautiful messages from the gospel that you have brought us. Thank you so much.
Thank
And in this spirit of feeling truly encouraged and optimistic, and also aware of the possibilities that we hold within for 2021 as this very transformative moment for us, we invite you to join us in our final prayer, still feeling enveloped by this beautiful poem that Abigail brought us, and saying, thank you so much, dear Jesus and God, for this moment that we have had. We know that we will be embraced, encouraged, that we will be guarded, that we will be safe in your embrace as we continue the path towards spiritual liberation. We are very grateful for the year that we have ahead of us. We know that we can do it. We feel the courage inside our hearts. We feel the optimism for better days to come. And we know that though there may be difficulties, there will also be flowers along the way. There will also be moments that will be bliss, that will be of joy, that will be laughter. And although there may be tears, we realize that we can utilize them to water, symbolically speaking, the seeds that lay within us so that they can blossom into beautiful, beautiful flowers of every color, of all types of perfume. We are very grateful for this morning, and we have faith that we will be together soon, embracing one another, taking care of each other. But meanwhile, let us keep the faith alive in our hearts, that although we may be distant physically, we will always be united and together spiritually, no matter what, no matter where. Thank you so much, and so be it. So, my friends, thank you for joining us this morning. Once again, thank you for being with us. As a reminder, we have all of our activities back online still, yes, but we are already back with our activities with the Gospel According to Spiritism on Sunday mornings at 9:30. We also have the study of Missionaries of the Light every second and fourth Wednesday at 7:15 p.m. Those are for the friends that are of English-speaking language. And we also have our activities in Portuguese for those of you who follow us along on Tuesdays at 6:30 for the Spirits book. We also have our public lecture on Tuesdays in Portuguese at 8 p.m., as well as the study of the Heaven and Hell, Céu e Inferno on Wednesdays, first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7:15 p.m. We also have the Moment with Susana in Portuguese on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., which is Oração ao Anoitecer. It's a very special moment, so here are the invitations for you. And of course, this is posted every day. We have our activities on Facebook. If you feel that you want to join our WhatsApp group, please follow our Facebook and Instagram page as well. We will post the comments here on this live so you can stay up to date with everything that has been happening. Have a blessed week with your family and be safe.